I ain't gonna be too long on here. I'm only still up because one, I stay awake. Two, I need to finish up these little mandatory training courses for work because they said they do by Friday, which is ridiculous. We have until the 31st to do them, but for some reason, the boss man said he wants them done by Friday, so that's why I'm still up. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing all right. I'm just relaxing and chilling and maxing at home. But let me tell y'all something tonight. Ooh wee. First of all, let me start off with this before I get down to the tea. So I had a good day today. Excuse me. Ooh, got indigestion. And I had a very busy, hectic work day. After work, I decided to take a spa day and relax. Went out to one of my favorite spa spots called Hand and Stone Massage Spa. Very, very nice massage parlor. Very pricey though. Fair warning. For a 1 hour massage, I spent well over $150. Was it worth it? Yes, because I added on some extra add-ons. I added the Himalayan sea salt hot stone scrub, and I also added the some kind of aromatherapy menthol rub down scrub. It was really nice. Man, when I say that was the most relaxing, stress-free massage I've ever had, oh my God, I fell asleep. I guess I was so stressed out from work and just running and going like an Energizer bunny. I was knocked out, y'all. Y'all gonna laugh. I was snoring away like the hogs was coming. And it was so bad somebody had to shut the door on me because they didn't want nobody to hear me snoring, I guess. But yeah, that 1 hour felt like paradise. And the sister that did the massage, amazing. Very professional, very nice. Took her sweet time, didn't talk too much. Very respectable. Did an amazing job. But yeah, highly recommend if you have not been, check out Hand and Stone Massage Spa. They're very, very, very good. I used to go to a spot called Massage Envy a long time ago, but they kind of went a little downhill. So on the more pricier, expensive side, I would vote Hand and Stone is probably number one in my opinion. I think it's number one. But anyway, after my little spa relaxation deal, I stopped by the sports bar downtown on my way home, grabbed me some food. I had ordered me what's called a glizzy, aka a hot dog, but they call them glizzies. Hello, welcome. And I ordered some curly fries and a couple of drinks. That was it. Then after I had my little hot dog meal, I went over to another bar to check out, the nightlife, quote unquote, here. Because I haven't really explored, the city around here since I've been here. And I've been out here since February, but I barely go to any of the bars out here. Because I be so busy working, you know what I mean? By the time I get off of work, all I want to do was get home, relax, shower, sleep, and then get back up and go to work again. But anywho, let me tell y'all about the first bar I went to. The reason I titled this videos, my eyes are wide open. They are wide open for a reason. Let me tell you why. So when I was sitting at the bar, I was sitting next to this white woman, and she happened to be sitting next to this group of white dudes. I thought she was with them, but then I realized she was by herself because she was on her phone. And I said, I wonder why she keep texting on her phone and showing the bartender her messages. Like she was communicating with the bartender with a phone app that she was texting back and forth. I said, maybe she's got a disability. I assumed she was either deaf or she was mute because a lot of people in the deaf community, they use cell phones to text people like bartenders and stuff, what they want to order as far as food and drinks. That wasn't the case. The reason she was texting the bartender to let her know what she was saying, like how she was communicating, something was wrong with her throat. I eventually found out when she started talking to me, when she showed me the app she built and the reason why she was texting, she said she had throat surgery. I said, "Oh God." I said, "I'm so sorry." I said, "Is everything okay?" I said, "If you don't mind me asking, what happened?" Because I pointed to her throat, like, "What happened to your throat?" I'm thinking, "Hello, welcome to the channel." I'm thinking this woman had a really severe health issue, like maybe some type of throat cancer, because you know a lot of people get throat cancer from smoking and stuff. It wasn't even that, y'all. Y'all gonna fall the fuck out when y'all hear this. Cause it blew me away. I did not expect this answer. Tell me why this woman, and I mean that term loosely, woman, whew, said the reason why she had throat surgery is because she transitioned from being a man to a woman. I said, "Excuse me." I just dropped my jaw like when I say my eyes are wide open, y'all, my eyes are wide open. The world is different out here. Okay, like when I say the world is different, y'all got to be careful who y'all talk to out here, especially in these damn bars. I was just like, oh my God. I gasped. I was speechless. I didn't know what to say to her or him or it. But I was just like, are you serious right now? Okay, good night. Goodbye to you too. I was like, yo, I was flabbergasted. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, how do you respond to that? How do you respond to a complete stranger that sits next to you at the bar, has a whole conversation with you, and it says the reason why they had throat surgery is because they turned into a woman? I would have never guessed it was a woman. I'm gonna be honest. You know, coming from the South, we don't see too many of them. I'm serious. We don't see too many of them from the other communities. This is a whole different world. When I say 2025 is different, we are living in a new generation. And I have nothing against them. I'm going to make this very clear before anybody come after me. I have nothing against the trans community, okay? So let me get that straight. It's just the fact that I've never came across one of them in public. I've heard of them. I've seen it on TV. I've seen it on Lifetime. I've seen them on documentaries. I've seen them on podcasts. But I've never physically met them in person at a bar. And I was just like, wow. And I said, I'm curious to know. I said, what made you do the whole transition switch? Because I'm ignorant. I'm told you, I'm from the South. I'm country. I'm from the sticks. I don't know no better. I come from a place where you got people living in the backwoods with no hair, no teeth, no eyes, no nothing, not a drop or a pot to piss in. So I'm trying to educate myself. I'm trying to learn. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be ignorant. I wasn't being disrespectful. But I was just like, what made you do the whole transition? I'm just a little confused. Like, I want to learn what's the big deal with this because it's not every day you meet somebody like this. It's not every day you meet someone like this. So she, because pronouns are she, her, they, them, whatever. I don't know what the hell they do now these days. Basically explained to me that they were unhappy with themselves when they were a man. Complete 360, by the way. When that person was a man, she showed me pictures on her Instagram and did not look like the same person, looked like a whole new package. You would have never known that was a woman unless you asked her. Like when I say there were no manly features on her, no manly features whatsoever. I'm talking feminine features, um, all types of different injections, whatever. I was just like, wow, I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed. She looks like a natural born woman. Seriously. I was just like, whew. Took my breath away. It did. Took my breath away. I was just like, wow. I was just like, this is why I don't say shit to nobody because I don't know what to call nobody no more. I don't want to misgender nobody. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard to just say hello, ma'am, hello, sir, because then you might offend them. Because people say like, don't say ma'am or sir because you really don't know. You know what I mean? And to be honest, I'm like this. Unless you ask somebody what they are, unless you ask them, you know, what they used to be, you're not going to know. The streets are scary out here. Now, she was a very nice person. I got to give it to her. She even bought me a drink. I didn't ask her to buy me a drink, but I was just still shocked how she just explained her story to me because I was just like, I'm not understanding the logic here. And then on top of that, not only did, she explained her transition story and how proud she was to be a woman now, but also explained to me that she had a 4 year old daughter. I was like, what? Oh my God. Like when she said she had a daughter involved, I was just like, how does the baby mother feel? Because I need to know what the baby mama's thinking too. She said the baby mama no longer talks to her. She pretty much abandoned her, which I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked because, I mean, if I were in her position, I'd probably do the same shit too. Like, how you go from being a whole man to being a woman threw me the fuck off. But again, to each his own. I don't judge people. I don't. I used to, but I don't now because people have gone through so much shit. There's so much bad shit in the world. You can be the finest thing on planet Earth, on God's green earth, and be an asshole at the same time. It don't make you no better than anybody else. I look at it this way. God don't like ugly. And I feel like you should treat people the way that you would want to be treated. And that doesn't mean that you should have any type of hatred or anger because of someone's preference or someone's sexuality. And that's how I felt about that person at the bar. Now, they was a little fucking weird. I'm not gonna lie. That person was a little awkward. It was a little kind of creepy. A little kind of creepy. And the only reason why I said it was weird is because, they were explaining that, you know, they came to Virginia pretty much to start over, kind of similar to my story. She said that she used to live in New York for a couple of years. She said people in New York were nasty, rude, which I wasn't surprised. I said it's New York. What you expect? Like New York is not like home. But what's funny is that she showed me a tattoo on her arm, and it was a tattoo of the state of Texas. I said, "Oh, you from Texas too?" She was like, "Yeah, I grew up in Austin." I said, "Oh, I guess that makes sense. Keep it weird, because Austin, they love weirdos." And Austin is a huge, and I mean huge, LGBTQ community. So I'm not surprised. But she also explained that I guess some of her family members kind of like grew up in the Virginia area. So her story was all over the place. But I was just like, yo, I'm still shocked how she just casually said, I transitioned from being a man to a woman. And as a man, she looked handsome. She looked better than what she was as a damn woman. I hate to say it. Like when I say handsome, I'm talking like Paul Bunyan handsome. Like she was a hefty dude. She was very muscular, very tall as a man. And now she's slim and slender. She like a damn toothpick. She kind of reminds me of that fitness guru named Jillian Michaels. Y'all remember Jillian Michaels from that weight loss reality show? I forgot the name of that reality show, but she kind of reminds me of Jillian Michaels. She has a very chiseled chin, very slender female features now. And I asked her how long did it take to do the whole swap, and she said it took her about a total of 3 years. to fully transition into a woman. I was just like, oh my God. But yeah, I was just like, whew. This is why I don't say shit to nobody, because you don't know who you talk to. And I don't want to offend nobody either, because the last thing I want to do is say she, her, them, they, or whatever, ma'am or sir, and I don't know what it is. That's why I said my eyes are wide the fuck open. They are wide open. And this gave me a reality check of what we are dealing with in 2025. Uh, now, I grew up, again, if y'all don't know my personal story, in a very religious household, Southern Baptist church, a white church, not a black church, okay? And, growing up in that type of environment, you tend to be very sheltered. Your parents don't want you around, certain people or whatever. And to be honest, I felt like the church was more racist than anything growing up in that damn environment. Then on top of that, the church is telling you if you're gay, you're going to hell. Same thing with my own people back home. They said the same shit. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, even with the values and the religious beliefs that I grew up with, I don't align with none of that shit. I don't. Because I feel like this. If a motherfucker that you come across is, very friendly and, appears to have a decent conversation with you, and they treat you like a human being, and they're not an asshole to you, I feel like you should treat them the way that you would like to be treated, and vice versa. And I don't care about a person's identity. I don't care about a person's status. You could be bi, tri, whatever. You could be a whole fucking cat, a dog. I don't give a damn. Whatever you want to be, a fairy. It's not going to bother me. Because you know why? Life is short. And I learned that we only have one life to live. And I believe that as God's children, we all deserve to be loved, regardless of the situation. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna be a pen pal. That's it. I'm just gonna be a pen pal with the person. I exchange information with the person that I met, the chick, quote unquote quotation marks, the chick, not really a chick. And we had a nice, decent conversation. I'm not gonna lie. As the only black person, by the way, at that bar, sitting there by myself, she took it upon herself to still have a full, meaningful conversation with me about her journey and everything, about what she went through. And I was shocked, because normally when I be at the bar, white women don't be talking to me like that. And that's another thing that threw me off. I was just like, why are you talking to me? I ain't got nothing against white people, but I felt a little suspect when I realized I'm the only black person at this bar. Why are you making conversation with me? And I'm the only nigga at the bar. Like, what's going on? What's really going on? What is your angle? What's the agenda? Because, I get paranoid when I see silly shit like that. I be like, yo, what's really going on? But anyway, I'm not the type of person that makes small talk at the bar. I like to be very quiet. I'm very well reserved. I like to mind my business, and I like to have a good time and enjoy my food and my drinks. That's all I like to do. But, yeah, my eyes are wide the fuck open after tonight, because I was just like, oh my God. And then she asked, can I give you a hug? And I was like, sure. Even her voice is feminine. Like, that whole throat surgery that she mentioned, that when she started speaking real low, I was just like, she even sound like a woman. Holy crap. She showed me a video, her very last video before she fully went through with the surgery, when she sounded like a man. Deepest voice. I'm talking like Barry White deep. It was scary. And I was just like, oh my God. But at the end of the day, we are all unique. We are all different. Nobody is perfect. You know what I'm saying? You have to be very mindful of the company that you're around. And you have to be very aware of your surroundings and know that it may walk like a duck, It may quack like a duck, but it may not be a duck. It may walk like a woman, it may talk like a woman, but it may not be really a woman. We are living in a different society, I'm trying to tell you. And like I said, I'm not the one to sit up here and point fingers and say this is wrong and you're going to hell and all this other bullshit. No. I'm not the type of person to sit up here and blame people for their decisions that they made. All I'm gonna say is, more power to you. Do I agree with it? Hell no. But it's not my decision. That's their decision. And I'm like this. If you feel empowered to turn yourself into something else that you want to turn into, more power to you. I feel like there is a lot of white liberals who feel so empowered that they just feel so free and so nonchalant that they can just casually tell people like me who have never been around these type of people, hey, this is the deal, I did this is my journey, and show me all their surgical photos. And I was just like, yo, this is wild. Completely fucked my head up. I ain't gonna lie, it fucked my head up. I was just like, are you serious right now? I looked there, I was just like, oh my God. But like I said, you can't judge a book by its cover. I would never date him. Never. And I mean never, ever, ever, ever date him. Never. Nope. But I would be friends with him. Nothing more. But yeah, pen pal. Because I don't know you from Adam. Talking about she want to hang out and hit me up whenever you want to hang out somewhere and we can, link up. I'm right around the corner. My mom's down the street, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, lady, I don't know you from Adam. Hell, I don't even know if you're sane. Because I feel like when people do drastic things like this, and they say that they've always felt feminine, even though they was a whole man, and they waited till 30, 40 plus years to change themselves into a whole woman, it's, yeah, it's baffling. I don't understand the logic behind it. I don't understand. I feel like sometimes when I hear these stories, it's something psychologically messed up in the mind. I feel like people either have some type of unresolved childhood traumas, whether they've been touched on, or whether they have been through so much crap in their life. They're so unhappy, they're depressed, they just given up and they don't care anymore. It could be a number of things, but majority of it I think is psychological. And like I said, as nice as the person was, I'm keeping clear. And when I say I'm keeping clear, I'm keeping clear. We can text, we can be pen pals, nothing more. That's it. But yeah, I was just like, these motherfuckers is crazy out here, yo. Crazy. Crazy. But you know what's funny though? What I realize what's going on in the world today is that I feel like a lot of it is like some type of brainwash going on. I feel like majority of the world that we're living in is so crazy like brainwashed to the point where they have what's called social engineering, which means that when you see certain images or certain videos on social media and they start tagging you on your For You page, whether if you're on TikTok or they put them in the algorithm on YouTube or, other social media platforms, people get addicted to it. And I feel like that's another issue. When people get so addicted to social media, they want to become somebody else that they have never been. I think that might be another issue. But this isn't the first time I've actually heard of this. This is actually the second time. And the second time, well, The very first time I've actually heard of a black woman turning into a man has been more common than anything. And I'm going to tell you why. I think a lot of them that turn into men have been such a tomboy for so long, they just accepted the fact that they would probably never, ever have a relationship with an actual man and settle down and have families. And they've always been so masculine to the point where they're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to turn into a man. Because, in my opinion, when I see a lot of these, black women turning, very masculine, it eventually leads up to that. I feel like some of them may have given up on life. And then I feel like some of them just genuinely just never had a desire for a man. And instead, they wanted to be a man so bad they turned into one. That's another problem with society. A lot of society is telling people, especially our younger people, the Gen Z people, that it's okay to be independent, it's okay to be strong, it's okay to be alone. You don't have to have nobody to hold you down. You can hold your own, blah, blah, blah. You can be both the man, the woman, whatever you want to do. You're liberated, you're free, you're blah, blah. Well, that may be very true. But I feel like that is a lot of social engineering. Again, brainwash. Look at the current climate of the rappers. That's a dead giveaway. Look at these female rappers. Look at people like Glorilla. Look at people like Sexy Red. Look at people like, I don't know, whoever else is out there. All these drill rappers talking about, sex, drugs, and rock and roll and all this other shit. They have such a horrible influence on the community that some of these kids want to be their favorite rappers so bad they think it's cool. And they think it's cool to have babies all over the place with no type of father involved. And they think it's cute. I don't understand the logic. I'm telling you, it's an epidemic out here. It's a crisis. I don't understand the logic behind none of this. And I feel that, you know, with the way the world is moving now, you have to accept people eventually for what they are. I hate to say it, but it's true. A lot of people, especially in the South, they're not going to accept you for what you are. A lot of people in the South are going to turn you away. They're going to be most likely prejudiced towards you or discriminate against you because of your status. And unless you go to places like New York, LA, Chicago, DC, where it's like heavy, heavy, heavy rainbow, you're not going to ever be accepted into that community. But yeah, I was just like, they different out here in Virginia. Whew, they different. When I say they different, they are different. To the point where it makes me be on guard and extremely cautious of the people I encounter in public. Because I don't know who's who. Like when I say this woman had me fooled and I never would have thought it used to be a man. Or she used to be a man. I said it. Lord forgive me. I would have never known. And the reason why she looks so feminine, she explained that they take estrogen injections, they take Botox, they have so much damn plastic surgery to the point where their features are so feminine you can't even tell it was a man. There's no facial hair. When she was a man, she had facial hair everywhere. It was nuts. I was just like, wow. It took my breath away. I was speechless and I was stunned and I was just like, oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Check, please. Yeah, I ran out of there real fast when she was just like, oh, I gotta go. I'm gonna go home and sip some tea because my throat is hurting. I can't talk anymore. I was like, okay, well, you have a good night. Goodbye. Peace. But yeah, be careful out there, y'all. That's all I have to tell y'all because These days, you got to play 21 questions with somebody. I hate to say it. You got to ask them because they're not going to tell you the truth until you ask them, what are your pronouns? Is the number one question you need to ask somebody now. Is it she, her, or he, him, or them, they? That's a dead giveaway what they are. And then you ask them, so were you pre-op? Were you post-op? That means pre-operational or post-operational. What is your gender? You know, you got to ask these questions. They might be uncomfortable, but now you got to ask these type of questions. You cannot go off of looks. That don't mean shit. You cannot go off of none of that. You can't even go off the Adam's apple because she didn't even have a damn Adam's apple. You would have never known. The only dead giveaway that I could tell she had manly features still were the hands. Because naturally women have very smaller hands. You know what I'm saying? Look at my hands. My hands are very, very slender. And the fingers are kind of, skinny. When you're a man, you got manly ass bear claws. Okay? Those are very hard to get rid of. When I saw her hands tonight, I was like, ooh, she got manly features. She got manly hands like a mug. Man, let me tell you. Whew. Oh my God. Yeah. I could tell, oh yeah, you was definitely a man. And the feet, that's another dead giveaway. Unless they have some type of foot surgery, if they got some big foot ass claws on their feet, like a size 14, yes. Dead giveaway. They used to be someone else. But, the craziest part about the whole thing is that when I looked at her photos and I compared her photos to when she was manly, she is a very fit shape. Like, I'm talking athletic shape. You can't even tell looking at her body. Her body contour shape is very curvy, like a woman. She's got curvy hips. She's got curvy glutes. Like, you can't even tell. And I said, she must have had a lot of plastic surgery to really look like a woman. Like, when I say she went through a lot, this woman, she got some bread. I asked her what she do for a living. She said she was a software engineer. I said, oh yeah, you got bread. And when I was looking at her Instagram page, I saw that she had her procedures done in California. And I was like, damn, this woman flew all the way to Beverly Hills for all this mess. And I said, yo, this is wild. But yeah, my eyes are wide the fuck open after tonight. Wide the fuck open. And again, there's no shade, there's no hate towards the trans. I want to make this clear because I don't want y'all coming after me with the whole LGBTQ community talking about I hate trans and I'm racist. No, I'm just sharing my experience tonight that I've never, and I mean never, ever, ever met someone in real life that was a trans until tonight. It blew me away. Because, like I said, it's hard to tell. You can't even tell. Had she would have never said why she had throat surgery, I would have never known that that was not an original woman. I would have never known. I was just like, whoo. And she was very nice. Like I said, she was very humane. And I feel like, people that are different like that, you know, they deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, just like anybody else. They do. Because I feel like the way we are moving, there's so much sickness in the world. There's so much hatred in the world. They don't deserve that. They don't. And the old me, the old nigga in me, if it was the old me, oh, I would have walked away. I would have been like, see ya. And I would have had a frown up on my face and flared up my nose and everything. But because I came to grips with society and I've accepted the fact that there's going to be some different people walking on these streets. There's a lot of different street walkers out here. They're not what you think they are. You have to realize the climate that we in. Because now people are getting sued for a mess like that. If you offend somebody like that, whether they're, gay, straight, trans, whatever, and they feel offended because of something that you said, they can go back and sue your ass. And that's the last thing I need. I don't need somebody coming after me, suing me because I hurt their feelings. No. And that's why I said it pays to be nice, especially to strangers at the bar, because you never know what that person went through. It pays to be nice. That's why I'm just like, if this was any other person at that bar and they would have made conversation with me, one, they would have tried to holler at me. This woman did not try to do that at all with me. She was just like, when she asked me, can we be friends? She really meant friends. She's like, I'm not the type of person that just, goes home at night with strangers and, has sex with them or whatever. I like to genuinely make genuine connections and make friends. And I was just like, wow. I said, I think this is like the first time ever I've actually heard from somebody at an actual bar sitting next to me that doesn't want to try to have sex or anything. I said, normally when people go to the bar, they're looking for sex. They're not looking to make friends. They're looking to see if they can get a jump off or a whore and get their number, get their digits, get their Instagram, their Snapchat, their location, whatever y'all guys call it these days, and link up at the hotel motel and do some hanky panky. That's what majority of the people do these days. They're not trying to get to know you. They're not trying to have a decent conversation with you. They just want to fuck. Up there, I said it. They just want to fuck. Period. Point blank. And if you didn't know, now you know. But majority of them are men that catcall and they have horrible conversations with you. They try to make it funny. They're not even funny. And then it becomes awkward because you're just like, what are you even rambling about? And they don't know how to spit no game. If you don't have no game, you're not gonna get no punani. But at the end of the day, I've been way past that because I am living in my celibacy period. I don't plan on doing jack, diddly, squat with nobody. Whether if you a man, woman, whatever, I'm not doing shit out here because I am afraid of what the world has to offer. I really am. I am staying to myself, minding my black owned business, going to work, and going the fuck home. That's it. I'm not doing nothing else. But yeah, my eyes are wide open. And now I am super, and I mean super cautious of the people I cross paths with, because if I ever encounter somebody else, especially if they at the bar and they look too good to be true, nigga, I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust shit. I don't know. Cause it could be vice versa. It could be the finest man sitting at the bar. And if you're a female or whatever, talking to that man, you thinking that that's a real man, and it's not. It's a fake. Because, the women out here that's on testosterone, they got beards and shit. It's hard to tell what's what. And I was just like, yo, what the fuck is the world coming to? Yeah, the world is scary. That's all I got to say. I ain't gonna talk too much more about it. But all I got to say is that my eyes are wide open and I learned about it very, and I mean very valuable lesson. If I ever come across somebody again, God forbid that I meet another one that says I had throat surgery, I'm not asking them shit because I'm not trying to hear nothing else. I'm not trying to get too friendly with too many of them because I feel like, again, it's a little weird for me It's a little awkward. And I feel like, we could be pen pals again, but that's it. I'm not hanging with you like that. I'm not about to bring you around my circle of friends. No. Mm-mm. The shit's too weird for me. Too weird for me. Too weird for me. Like I said, I will be a friend to you. I'll be a pen pal to you, but nothing more. Mm-mm. Nope. But yeah, at this point, I'm just like this. You might as well have a whole booklet of what to say and what not to say and take notes. And take heed that what may look like a duck, what may quack like a duck, may not be a damn duck. I'm just going to warn you right now. Because when I say you can't really tell no more, especially if they had a lot of surgery, you can't even tell no more. I was just like, yo, motherfuckers out here confused as shit. Confused as shit. And I hate to say it, some of them are playing with people's lives if they're not being truthful about their status and stuff, because that's how people be getting unalived. I hate to say it. If you're not truthful about your shit, yeah, something bound to be happening. But if you're loud and proud and liberated and you feel comfortable, go ahead. Tell the whole world. I don't give a damn. It don't bother me at all. But at the end of the day, just know what comes with it. Because I try to warn people that, you know, there are certain things you can say, and there are certain things you can't say around certain people, and that's one of them. If you joke around with somebody that's super highly oversensitive, and they're going through a lot mentally, they're going through a lot physically, and they just switched up themselves and swap from a he to a she or a she to a he, you gotta be very cautious and walk on eggshells around them. Because the last thing you want to do is piss one of them off and then have a whole mob of them after you on social media and making TikToks. Because I've seen it. That's like the comedians. This is why I would never be a comedian. Today's comedians are literally walking eggshells. They may make jokes about, the LGBT community or whatever, but I notice a lot of them are treading lightly on eggshells when it comes to the Rainbow Club members because they don't want no shit. They're not trying to get sued. They're not trying to hear no protest and cancel culture because there's a lot of cancel culture going on. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm just like, I don't know how they do it. But if I were a comedian, yeah, I would shut the hell up at that point. I wouldn't even know what to say when it comes to certain people of different groups and different cultures. I wouldn't even know what to say. Because it's like everybody is super sensitive. You don't know who's going to be offended. You don't know who's going to come after you. You know what I mean? Like, this generation is not tough like it used to be. I remember back in the day, like in the 90s, the 80s, or whatever, people said the most offensive, harmful jokes to certain communities. Now you can't really do that. You will get canceled in a heartbeat by the Rainbow Club, and then you'll be looking stupid and broke. Look what they doing to rappers. They canceled what's his name when he made very offensive, derogatory remarks about the Rainbow Club. What's his name? The Baby. Y'all remember that rapper that called himself The Baby? Well, The Baby, he went a little extreme. He deserves to be canceled because the way he went, he said all his fans didn't have no HIV and they not nasty and all this other shit, just ignorant shit. And I'm just like, why would you say that? I was just floored what he said, and it pissed off the Rainbow Club. The Rainbow Club came down with picket signs and started protesting to cancel his ass, and he got canceled because of those remarks he made about them, those people, the special people, the LGBTQ. That's what I'm talking about. Because he made horrible remarks about them that time when he got canceled, they shut down his entire tour that he had scheduled. He had a tour scheduled all around the world and they canceled it because of what he said. That's why I be trying to warn people. Sometimes your words are worse than your actions. That's why sometimes you have to bite your tongue and watch what you say around certain people because of this situation, like I just told y'all tonight. And you just have to take the L and just ride out and be like, all right, whatever, and then keep it pushing, keep it moving. But I understand a lot of people are not very accepting of this type of culture. I understand. Trust. I get it. I come from nothing, literally. I come from the woods. And even in my little small hellhole town, you still got people living like they in the Twilight Zone, like they still stuck in 1965, and they think that we should all sing Kumbaya and little girls should still wear dresses and little boys should still wear suits and ties and they should still go to church regardless to be saved by Jesus. And now you got the point where people are literally out here living their best life and out and proud about themselves and their status. Like tonight, super proud, too proud for my taste. But yeah, I learned a lot tonight. That's all I got to say. I learned a lot, I saw a lot, and I heard a lot. And the saddest part of the reality is that it's not the fact that the person transitioned and turned, from a man to a woman. It's the fact that what he said or she said, because it's a she now, to me, the other reason why they decided to transition, she explained to me that she was very suicidal and she had a lot of identity crisis issues with herself when she was living out as a man. And I was just like, but that still does not explain the reason for you transitioning. Again, it doesn't make any sense. And when she said that, I didn't say nothing. I just kept my mouth shut, bit my tongue, and I was just like, oh, wow, I'm sorry. And she was like, no, it's okay. I'm sorry for dumping all my trauma on you, but I've been through a lot, blah, 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 blah. And I get it. People go through a lot. And that told me right there when she said that to me, I said, it sounds like she has a lot of unresolved psychological issues that she may need to get fixed and a lot of unresolved, possibly childhood trauma, possibly. I don't know. But I would have never thought twice that that was a woman, in real life, an actual born gendered woman. I would have never guessed that that was not an actual woman. I would have never guessed. But anyway, um, I'm going to go. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting tired, and I just wanted to share my 2 cents on this take that sometimes you just have to be mindful around the company that you're around, especially in public spaces. And you have to realize that it's 2025 and a lot of people are extremely different. A lot of people out here are extremely different and living different. So I'm not saying you got to accept everybody for what they are. You got to accept the culture because it's part of the culture and everyone's liberated and free and they're hippies and they smoking tweeds and whatever and doing drugs and rock and roll, whatever. All I'm saying is that sometimes you just have to take the L and be mindful. You may not agree with it, but it doesn't mean that you treat the person like a piece of shit either. You treat everybody the way that you would like to be treated. You just have to keep that in mind because even though I may not necessarily agree with their lifestyle, or I may not be very accepting of it, I'm not going to treat them like a piece of shit either and call them nasty, dirty names and then just walk away. I'm going to have a conversation because they were nice enough to buy my damn drink. I didn't even tell her to buy me a drink. She still bought me a drink and put it on her tab. It was very thoughtful of her to do that when she was sharing her story with me. But yeah, just be mindful around your surroundings, people, and ask questions. And I'm talking real questions, not some bullshit questions of what's your favorite color and what do you like to do or whatever. No, ask real questions. But yeah, my breath is just took away, just gone. I just, it makes me walk on eggshells even more when I think about it because I'm just like, damn, what if I would have said the wrong thing? What if I would have offended this person? Then I would have felt like an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to be very, 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 very careful what you say. Because, like I said, words speak louder than your actions, or actions speak louder than words, whatever, vice versa, whatever the saying is. But yeah, you just have to be very mindful around the company that you were around because you don't know. You really don't know what's going on out here until you hear that person's story. But anyway, I'm gonna go now because I know y'all probably don't want to hear the rest of this mess. But I've said my piece. I said my 2 cents on this take, and yeah, um, the world is a different place, y'all. Just remember that the world is a different place. And like I said, I'm not here to judge nobody. I'm not here to judge none of y'all because I'm not perfect either. I have my own flaws. I have my own issues. I just don't talk about all of them on here on this YouTube internet because I don't need people to be spreading my business like wildfire. Especially when I know motherfuckers back home be watching my shit. Yeah, I don't need nobody all over my Kool-Aid. But yeah, be safe. Ask questions, people. Just be safe and ask questions. That's all I can say. Because you never know what you're going to bump into. You just never know. But I'm going to say that it was quite the experience tonight. It was quite the experience. I've never had an experience like this ever in my life until tonight. I was just like, wow. I was somewhat intrigued by their story. I was. I was somewhat intrigued about their whole journey and what they shared with me. But at the same time, I was also a little on edge because I was just like, what? Say, what's going on? I'm looking at her like, what? Like, it's like one ear and out the other. I wasn't really listening until I realized what she had just told me. I was just like, mouth wide the fuck open, y'all. Mouth wide open. I was just like, woo. But yeah, be safe out there, y'all. The world is just a different place in 2025. It ain't like it was back in the day. Now, motherfuckers is getting rid of shit. And half of it you don't even realize until you ask them. But, yeah, it was a lot, y'all. It was a lot to take in. To listen to her for at least a good 20, 30 minutes, it was a lot to take in. I was just like, man, what is going on out here? That's what I need to know because I'm just like, my question is though, before I go, do people really hate themselves that much to go through all of this? Or do people genuinely feel that they've always felt a certain way and they decided to do what they wanted to do for the first time in their life? Because remember, like I told y'all, this person said they were a boy for almost 40 plus years Very masculine, very manly, had a girlfriend, baby mama, kid, everything in the book. Then out of nowhere, they decided to say, well, I've always felt this way, blase, blase, and then they swapped. But yeah, it's wild out here, y'all. That's all I gotta say. It's very wild. Be very, 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 very careful. Because you never know. You just don't know until you ask questions. And you have to be very careful the way you ask questions too, because you don't want to offend nobody. But yeah, treat people like the way that they would like to be treated. Treat people like they are human, like in a humane world. Treat them like they would like to be treated. That's all I have to say. But if y'all enjoyed this live, click the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget, hit the replay button. And I will talk to y'all next time because I'm about to lay it down. I'm getting sleepy now. Even I gotta finish these little courses that I still ain't finished. That are mandatory. I need to finish them. But I'll holler at y'all next time. Y'all take care. Peace.